everyone, welcome to Susan Dawn's Spiritual Connections. Welcome to a brand new Sacred Union Energy Update and happy new moon in Taurus. I wasn't anticipating doing a reading tonight, but I'm feeling the energy. It feels pretty powerful with this new moon. I want to talk a little bit and share some of my own personal experiences around this new moon energy. This new moon energy is very transformative as far as clearing for, I'm hearing to make way for the new beginning, make way for new beginnings. Now, new beginnings are happening all the time. We talk about new beginnings all the time. And that's because you're shifting energy all the time. So be mindful of that as well, that new beginnings, there's always opportunities for them, especially as your energy continues to shift. If you haven't already checked it out, I do have a new soul path reading up. I think it's called It Won't Feel Like This Forever. A very powerful reading in which Kelly Ma, Yeshua, and Mary Magdalene came in for the channeling as well as activations for your journey, especially if you're struggling in any aspect of your life or your spiritual journey. It was a very powerful reading, so make sure that you're checking that out. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description box. I want to share something that I had experienced over the past couple of days. So I felt a lot of energetic triggers. Now, triggers these days don't feel as heavy, as discouraging, as difficult as they used to in the past. And I think that's because of where we are on the ascension journey and our level of awareness and our frequency. When we're triggered now, yes, of course, it might take your breath away. It might feel like a punch to the stomach, as it did for me. It might feel like, oh my gosh, why am I experiencing this? Or why am I feeling this way? But through that awareness, you can say, okay, I can pause. I can say, this is a trigger. What is this showing me? And how then can I clear it? How then can I heal it? It's that awareness, and as you go further and further along your ascension journey, that awareness is the key to your healing, to your clearing, to the release. And so I was triggered by something and energetically with my counterpart, and it gave me an opportunity to go deeper. And I really appreciate one of my best friends for holding space with me as I was processing, because I just was not able to get to the core of it. I could not figure out what the core of it was. I ended up being one of my core wounds around not feeling seen and not feeling understood for who I truly am. And that came back to, it was an onion layer. It was the deepest layer, because all throughout my journey, I've been learning more and more about myself and going deep into my true authenticity and expressing myself for who I am. And this was really diving deep into that realm of acceptance. And I feel like through this past year, I've been reclaiming myself and coming back to myself and remembering myself in a way that I had forgotten a little bit along my journey. This past year really was about, who am I at the core, and how am I embracing that, embodying that, and expressing that in my human form, in my physical life. And it feels so natural now. Everything that I've integrated and everything that I've anchored in from this higher level version of myself, this new version of myself, this connected version of myself, and this human experience, it feels so grounded and natural and anchored in. I think I talked about it once, when I was first connecting with dragons and reconnecting with angels, because I spoke with angels as a kid, and I had suppressed that part of myself. And when I was going through this ascension journey, it was so exciting because it felt so new, and now it just feels very organic, and it feels very natural, like a natural part of ourselves. And it's that balance between the human and the spiritual. We're still going through our ascension journey, but we ground it in our physical plane, in our physical experience. So I was going through this trigger of another layer of, where was I rejecting myself in the past? And it was the past that was coming up. It wasn't necessarily the present, but it was definitely being mirrored to me in my physical experience. And so I had to go deeper into that acceptance of myself. And where had I been rejecting myself? Where had I been not allowing myself to be expressive? And I had experience the past couple of months where, I'll be honest, somebody really shook me up. I had the wobbles where I had doubted myself. And that asked me to go deeper into what is my truth. And I realized that, you know what? I have my truth, and I believe in my experiences, and I believe in my truth, and nobody has to adhere to that. Nobody has to believe in that too. Not even my counterpart. Not even my counterpart. My counterpart doesn't have to believe in me, doesn't have to believe me, doesn't have to believe in the experiences that I've had, or what I feel for him, doesn't have to believe in the journey. I can still hold that level of love for him and acceptance that he might not be experiencing what I'm experiencing, and he might not be sharing in those beliefs. That doesn't mean that my beliefs are false or invalid, or that my experiences are untrue. And that's me allowing myself to really finally vocalize my truth and share my truth without fear of rejection, and allowing myself to fully accept and embrace myself and what I've experienced and know to be true for me. And he's just a catalyst for all of this. You know, your counterpart is that divine mirror catalyzing that growth within you, asking you to look deep within yourself. That's what the triggers are. The triggers are, can you look deep within yourself? They're not purposefully triggering you, but it's like almost like a challenge for you to grow. Can you allow yourself to go deeper? Can you allow yourself to look at what needs to be looked at? And so I did, and it was a very deep layer, and it feels really good. It feels like divine timing that this was all clearing, and I was doing that healing work now, because I always want to be aware, and through that awareness, I always want to be the best version of myself that I can. So I feel very grateful for that experience. What's interesting too, speaking of divine timing, so I'm a big fan of Regency era and Jane Austen and all that stuff. So I love Bridgerton. And some of you may know, some of you may watch it too. Queen Charlotte came out a couple of weeks ago, and I was so excited to watch it. And I actually put it off. I don't know why, but I kept getting distracted, or I kept procrastinating, and I kept putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. And I was talking to one of my best friends about it yesterday, and I'm like, I don't know why I was putting this off. And she was the one that was holding space for me. And I said, I finally feel like I'm ready to watch it. And so last night I cuddled into bed, and I'm watching the first 2 episodes, and I'm getting triggered again. And this time being triggered, it's almost like it's humorous, because I'm very much aware of the triggers, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I'm laughing about it with my friend. I'm like, I'm getting triggered, but I'm laughing about it because I'm so aware of what's happening, and that it's healing something and still clearing the residual clearing of all the energy work and the trigger clearing that I was doing before. And I'm getting triggered, and I'm laughing about it because I'm looking at the relationship between King George and Queen Charlotte, and I only watched the first 2 episodes so far, and I'm looking at the relationship, and I'm like, oh my God, this is what I lived with for 5 years of my journey. This is what my connection was. And it's interesting because it's very much that runner-chaser dynamic, or you can call it like the avoidant kind of energy. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I want to punch King George in the face. Like, how can he not see how this is painful to Charlotte? How can he not see how his behavior is affecting her? How can he not see this? How she's feeling lonely in their marriage, in their connection, how he's not making her a priority, or how he's not, communicating with her, or how, if you guys watch the show, then you'll see it, but it's blowing my mind. And I'm talking to a friend about this, and I'm like, this is just showing me where I was, and what I had allowed, and how I didn't have those healthy boundaries, and that I wasn't secure enough in myself to be able to speak up and say, you know what, I'm not okay with this. And there were times along my journey when I definitely did that, but to have that kind of connection, to have that kind of deep connection, that kind of relationship, it's no, I mean, no wonder it's so confusing. It's like I was observing what I had experienced through this show, and it's interesting because it feels like it was the right time, because I don't think I would have been ready to accept that. I don't think I would have been ready to allow myself, if I hadn't worked through what I had worked through in the past couple of days. And everything comes at the right time. The universe works through other people. The universe works through even pop culture. If you're guided to a certain book, there's a reason for it. There might be messages in it for you. If you're guided to certain music, you're feeling the music or you're feeling the lyrics because it's resonating with you, because that's part of your journey. Everything is interconnected. Everything is part of our journey. If you are called to watch a certain movie or a TV show, again, sometimes it's just very lighthearted and you're called to rest and it's just something joyful. But most often than not, it's because there is something in there that's showing you something about your journey or something about yourself. And it doesn't have to be so deep. It can just be a reflection of your healing. It could be just a reflection of where you are presently in your joy and your happiness, or even just in your sadness. If you're feeling grief, sometimes, the best thing to do is you're called to a movie just to allow yourself, it's a sad movie, just to allow yourself to cry, just to allow yourself to have the release. Everything is interconnected and everything is for us. Everything has a purpose. So I'm watching this show and it's like I'm seeing things as an observer, and I had put a lot of that emphasis on myself, a lot of that blame on myself. I took a lot of responsibility for the connection on my shoulders, and it became such a heavy burden, and that's what I was releasing a lot of for the past year. And what's interesting about that is I was able to see through like this lens. I mean, it's a TV show, obviously, but I was able to see as an observer kind of what I had dealt with. And it's like, no wonder I was frustrated and confused all the time. No wonder this journey was confusing. It's confusing. It's confusing, especially when you're not consciously or you're not behaving in conscious ways, and your partner, you're both not behaving in conscious ways. It was just so interesting. And what was even more beautiful is I've moved on a little bit in the show, and there is reconciliation and there is growth and there is an honoring of each other and a wanting to work together. It's just so interesting because it definitely felt like I was Charlotte, like wanting the connection and wanting to work together, wanting to be a partner, wanting to be a team. And it almost always felt for me like it almost felt like I was being pushed away. And I'm seeing as an outside observer what that looked like through this show, through that lens. And it's almost like it's enabling me to clear the last of that pain and that heartbreak and that heartache that I felt and that confusion that I felt from my own connection, my own experience with that, and to forgive that experience, and to forgive myself for the part that I played and the role that I played. And again, not taking all of that responsibility and all that blame onto myself. And that's not to blame any other person. It's just, it was what it was. And to have that level of acceptance. But it's just really interesting to have that reflection, especially after this healing. So it really felt like it was all in timing. And we have the new moon here, and it feels like, okay, clearing out that past energy because we have this new beginning. And this Taurus energy, this earthy energy, is very grounding and very stabilizing. And so for me, it was like clearing out that, it was almost like a purge, but it wasn't a heavy purge. Again, healing, clearing, triggers feel very different now. Now that we've gotten to this stage of our journeys, it feels very different. It doesn't feel as dense and dark night of the soul-y energy, but it still was very, very interesting to experience. So yeah, I haven't finished the show yet, but I'm sure I'll have thoughts, and I might come back with thoughts. But it was mind-blowing for me. So it's interesting. Pay attention to what you're drawn to, because there are messages, there are lessons, there's healing, there's understanding, new understanding about yourself, maybe new understanding about the journey. It definitely, things in life, it's all interconnected, so it'll definitely show you more about yourself. But it was very, very interesting. All right, let's see what's going on with these counterpart connections with this new moon energy. I did have a mini reading up for the Patreon subscribers, so make sure if you're a Patreon subscriber, you check that out. And we'll have some more mini readings going up over the next week or so. Yeah. All right, let's see what's going on. Let's see what's going on for the Divine Masculine. Where is the Divine Masculine? We have attraction. Divine Feminine. Where's the Divine Feminine? We have fear. I like that energy. I'll get to that in a second. And where's the union energy? She's breaking free. I just have to say that. She is breaking free. Oh, I love that. And beginnings. This is that new moon energy. And it's not just the new moon. The eclipse was really the catalyst for this energy. Again, new beginnings are happening all the time. And they're open to you. New doorways, new gateways, new portals are open to you all the time. It's just a shift in energy. As you shift in energy, you create the opportunity for new beginnings. So allow yourself to keep shifting in the energy. And we have release. So the release is what begets the new beginning. So I want to speak about the divine feminine first, because this energy is really calling to me. I love this energy because I feel like she is breaking free from the fear. She's breaking free from anything that was holding her back, any anxiety, any frustration, any pain, any heartbreak. You see how this energy, she's cowering here, but it's all encased in this gold. And I'm getting a lot of solar plexus energy, but it's more than solar plexus energy. And this is like divine protection. It's divine support. This gold, it's like this white gold light energy. It's like this divine energy that is embracing her, loving her, supporting her in order to rise up and break free as the empress that she is, as the divine sovereign being that she is, to break free from the confines, especially the confines within her mind, confines within herself, confines within her, anywhere where she had held herself back. She is breaking free from this and allowing herself to really expand and fly, yes, but it's more about the expansion. She's stepping forth into herself, into the truth of herself, and she's allowing this wounded self to be nurtured, to be healed, and that is what's breaking free for her. It's the healing. So even though she's kind of cowered here, I'm not feeling that energy at all. This is being nurtured. This is being healed. This is being cleared so that she can step into the new version of herself and even of her life. That cage is open and she is flying. It reminded me of a poem that I had written, a line of a poem that I had written, and I can't bring it to mind right now when I'm channeling, but it was something about, oh no, it's in my book. It's in East of Everywhere. There's a line in my book, East of Everywhere, that says that the character says she feels like she's a bird that's batting her wings against a cage just to remember what it feels like to fly. That's where you might have been, ready to fly, ready to fly, ready to fly, but still being held in some kind of cage within yourself, held back within yourself. And now it's like something is broken open. That door is open. There is no more cage. The cage was only within your own mind. And now you are feeling the full force of that liberation, the full force of that freedom. And what are you free from? You're free from fear. You're free from your past. You're free from that pain. You're free from that heartache. Because this is all that healing energy. And with the solar plexus energy, this is you just rising up into the truth of who you are. You're acknowledging who you are. You are claiming who you truly are. And other people might have their opinions. Other people might have their judgments. Other people might have their beliefs, but you are standing true in who you are. And it's taken you a long time, and you've been through quite a lot of heartache and pain in order to claim this aspect of yourself again. Well done, Divine Feminines. Well done. Divine Masculines. Interesting energy for the Divine Masculines. We have the card Attraction, and what I'm getting drawn to is the whole of this moon, like this just how gigantic it is. I feel like these Divine Masculines, it's interesting, I'm getting more for the Divine Feminines than I am for the Divine Masculines. I feel like the Divine Masculines are in a little bit of a hermit mode with this new moon energy. Contemplating, going within, reflecting. There might be some silence, a desire to go within, a desire to retreat, but it doesn't feel like retreat as in running away. It doesn't feel like retreat as in hiding away. It feels like retreat as in taking some time to understand the self. And with this huge energy that's coming through here, it's like trying to figure out their next step, trying to figure out what it is that they want. There's a new world that is opening up for them that's stemming from a new consciousness, an ascended consciousness. And that ascended consciousness is having them understand that they can and are called to have whatever it is that they truly desire in life. And it doesn't mean claiming, it doesn't mean taking. It means the energetic attraction, pulling that in magnetically. What is it that they want? And it means actions aligning with their thoughts, or their thoughts aligning with their actions. It's all about the energy. You can't have some kind of action and your energy isn't aligned with the action, or you can't speak some words and your energy is not aligned with the words. It's who was it? Dr. Seuss, say what you mean and mean what you say, right? It's that be very diligent, be very specific, be very disciplined in that respect. It's this energy of alignment, embodiment, and they're understanding where they were out of alignment. And that's why they were attracting in negative things. They were attracting in karma. They were attracting in negative cycles because their energy within them wasn't aligned. They might have been thinking the thoughts, but they were still having an imbalance within their own feelings or within their own energy field. It's not just about making a different action. If it's like this. They're showing me a like going on a road trip or something, or going on a drive, and let's say that you go to work the same way every day, right? And you want to do something different. You want to take a different approach in life. And it's not about just going on a different path or going on a different road. It's about the energy. It's about your energy. The road necessarily doesn't matter. It's your energy that makes the shift. You could go on 1,000 different roads, but if your energy is the same, you're going to keep attracting the same. You can go on 1,000 different roads. You're trying to avoid potholes, or you're trying to avoid traffic, or you're trying to avoid construction. And so you are taking a different road. Well, if your energy is still the same, there's going to be potholes and construction and traffic along that route as well. It's about the energy and changing the energy, not just about changing your actions or your words, but the energy that's behind it. And they're beginning to understand that that's what attracts their life. And they're wanting to make changes in their life because they're expanding in their energy, they're shifting their energy. So they're wanting to make those changes in their life, and they're learning how to shift within the energy field in order for that to happen. And that comes with healing, and that healing comes with awareness. The more you're aware of yourself, the more you can mindfully change your habits, your patterns, your responses, your reactions. But again, it all comes down to the energy. If you're changing your habits, your patterns, your reactions, and your responses, but the energy is still the same, then it's not going to make much difference. In fact, it's going to create more resistance. They're beginning to understand that it's all about the healing, and it's all about the growth within the self. Once you allow yourself to change the energy and shift the energy within you through the healing and through the clearing and through the release of the old energy, that's what makes the biggest impact, and that's what creates the shift. So before we move on to the Patreon and go a little bit deeper, I want to get some more for those of you who are here on YouTube. So let's get more for the Divine Masculine. I'm getting drawn to this beginnings card energy here for the union energy, and it does feel like there is a shift that is coming. I'm just getting like out of the cold and into the new, and that's going to be resonant for everybody in a number of different ways, but out of the cold and into the new. And you see how just kind of bleak this energy is? Now it's like this is where your heart has always called you to. This is where you have always, or what you've always believed in. This is your union energy. And so it's like out of that bleakness and into out of the darkness and into the light, essentially. Interesting. I'm also hearing to become one. So that might be resonate for you. It depends on where you are on your journey. That might be resonant for you as well, especially as these reunions and reconciliations are happening. To becoming one, coming into partnership, coming into harmony. And that's what creates this kind of walking through that doorway together, walking through that portal together. And that's what creates this happiness. And I feel like you both recognize that. Now, when I'm saying counterparts, this could be the person that has been your counterpart along your journey. This could be a catalyst. This can be soulmate connection who is stepping in as a masculine energy for you, divine feminines. Take it as it resonates for you, for wherever you are on your journey. Again, paths are a little bit split right now, but take it as a masculine and feminine energy within you, within a connection, within your journey, or even for the global collective as a whole, for what's happening globally on this ascension journey. Okay, let's get a card for the Divine Masculine, please. Where's the Divine Masculine on their journey right now? Master Alchemist, Violet Flame Activation, Divine Feminine. Spiritual awakening and integration, that's kind of like what we were channeling and talking about before. And union energies, we have personal empowerment. Beautiful. I feel like both, and look, twin flame at the bottom of the deck, of course. So I feel like, I'm going to start with the union energies. I feel like you're both coming into a new phase of yourself, into a new embodiment of yourself. And for some, you might not entirely be aligned with each other depending on where you are in your path. You might not be entirely aligned, especially if this is like a past counterpart connection or a catalyst counterpart. You might not be entirely aligned just yet, but there is this energy of embodiment and empowerment and integration that's coming through. There's a new level that you're both stepping into. So for those of you who are experiencing soulmate connections, this is somebody who might be a match right now for you and your frequency. Whereas if you have a counterpart as well, or a twin, whatever you want to call it, you're both moving into a higher level of yourself, but it still might not be completely matched. You might not be at the same frequency. Now, remember, there's no judgment for that. It's just how the journey is unfolding, and you are both, from the highest perspective, doing this together. And from the highest perspective, you really are aligned and you really are matched, especially in that 5D realm. But it just might not be looking like it yet in the physical. So when we're talking about not matching, it's that it's not matched yet in the physical realm, in your human experience. So you might not be seeing that in your human experience. But if you are divine counterparts, twin flames, then you are always matched in the 5D, in the higher realms. But there might be a soulmate connection that's coming in your physical experience who is matched to you in your physical experience. So take it as it resonates for you. We're talking about soulmate connections now because that is a path that many of you, and myself included, are kind of experiencing and are on right now. But take it as it resonates for you. There is no judgment for the journey. Your journey, let your journey unfold however it is unfolding for you, and take these messages however they resonate for you. And again, if they do trigger you, then allow yourself to look at, okay, what is it showing me? What is the trigger showing me? And allow yourself to do that deep inner work. Okay, so I do feel like, again, both of you are moving into higher levels of embodiment along your journey. And remember too, I'm hearing that the masculine ascends very, very quickly. Very quickly, like hyperspeed is what I'm hearing. So divine feminines, you've been going through your ascension journey. Divine masculines are going through their ascension journey as well, but they do it like 2 times as fast, because the feminine energy leads the connection in the physical, in the energies. Divine masculine grounds and leads from a very human experience, from a 3D perspective, but the feminine leads energetically. And so she experiences her ascension first, and then the masculine experiences their ascension. And so they do it like that. Like they do it like double time, hyperspeed, accelerated ascension. It's very quick for them. Where it might have taken you a couple of years, divine feminine, they might take a couple of months, they might take a year, 2 years. It's much quicker than the divine feminine. And that's a lot of it is because the divine feminine does a lot of that transmutation for the connection for both of you, because she is very connected energetically. Not to say that the masculine is not connected, but the masculine is connected in a very different way, in a very different experience. You both are 2 sides of the same coin. You are the union of opposites. You are the yin and the yang. So together you make the whole. Together that is your union. But you experience your journey in very different ways, and that's what can cause a lot of confusion, a lot of miscommunication, and a lot of frustration, especially if you're doing this journey together in proximity with each other. It can cause a lot of confusion because you want the other person to understand what it is that you're experiencing, but you experience it in very different ways. When you heal through a lot of the unconscious and wounded state, when you become much more conscious, especially when it comes to the connection, then you're able to have a healthy connection with each other and healthy communication with each other to help each other to grow. You're not trying to teach each other. You're not trying to force another person to see from your perspective. You're just understanding, okay, this was my experience. This is what I'm experiencing. What are you experiencing? How are you experiencing this? And that's where you can have that healthy connection, partnership, and communication and teach each other in very different ways. For myself, I always could see that, I was very heart driven and my masculine was very mind driven or did a lot of work with the mind. And he taught me a lot about the mind. I didn't understand prior to this ascension journey a lot about the powers of the mind and the conscious states. He taught me so much about that. Conversely, I won't speak for him, but I feel like I was teaching him or showing him how to open the heart more. And I feel like he wouldn't like it if I said that, but I feel like that's what the feminine and the masculine does. The feminine really helps to open up the heart. And even if you think that you're open, even for myself, I thought that I was open, but I had more layers to go. But the masculine really understands the realm of the mind. The feminine really understands the realm of the intuition and the heart. And together you show each other. Together you grow. Together you help each other to expand in that level of consciousness and in that union state. Another example is the feminine is very, or the masculine, I should say, is very practical. The feminine is very intuitive, but you need both, right? Again, that's the mind and the heart. You need both to be in that union energy, to be in that kind of oneness. And so you help each other, you show each other, you grow together. That's all about that nurturance energy. It is the yin and the yang. It is the balance. And together you balance this out. Together you allow each other to grow and show each other, and you allow each other to expand in that way. Or show each other how to expand in that way. There's something else that was coming through there, and I can't remember what it is. So we're just going to move on. Okay, so both of you moving into a new level of your personal empowerment, which is huge. Like, don't underestimate how big this is and how big your transformation really is for your journey. Let's move on to, I feel like there's something else coming through. Give me 1 second. I just want to see what this is. Okay, I'm not getting it, so I'm just going to move on. Divine Masculine, we have the Master Alchemist and the Violet Flame activation. What I'm getting from this, it feels like the magician energy, and the magician has been coming through for the Divine Masculine, where they are beginning to recognize their personal empowerment. Now, for this masculine, I don't feel as if they are entirely cognizant of the fullness of their power. And by that I mean, I feel like there's still some ego there. There still might be some control. There still might be some manipulation that's going on, trying to manipulate their world, trying to manipulate themselves, trying to manipulate their experiences. And again, there's no judgment for any of this. This is just part of the ascension journey. This is part of the ego release, the ego integration. This is part of the ego death, for lack of a better phrase. I don't like to say ego death because the ego serves a purpose, but it's about learning how to tap into the soul. It's about learning how to tap into your higher self over the ego. The ego is your human identity. But you learn to integrate the higher self and embody the higher self. And I feel like the Divine Masculine is going through that process. So there still might be some integration of that. It's not fully anchored in, is what I'm saying. It's not fully anchored in. Now with the Violet Flame energy here, I do feel like there is a purification process or a clearing or a healing process that is happening. I'm just seeing this happening in the higher realms, so they might not even be completely conscious of this. And that too, the masculines and the feminines experience the journey in a very different way. They experience their healing in a very different way. as well. So have kindness and compassion for each other. Both journeys, nobody has it easier or harder than the other. It is a very challenging and difficult journey for both. So have kindness and compassion for each other. But I feel like the divine masculines are kind of in the thick of it right now, where they're going through that ascension, and they're going through recognizing themselves as divine, but there's still some kind of ego struggle. There's still some kind of it's almost like ego still trying to attach, when the higher self is trying to come in and integrate and anchor in. It's interesting energy. In the 3D realm, what this might look like, they're bringing me examples. What this might look like is they're recognizing intuition more. They're recognizing connection more. They're recognizing healing more. But there's still some element of control of their physical environment, or even of people around them or themselves. There's still some element of trying to control the situation, or control even their own journey and their own healing. What this is what I'm hearing is there's still not quite that surrender. They're still moving through the process of surrender. But once they do allow themselves to surrender, and surrender is not defeat, surrender is acceptance and trust and faith, and that higher self integration, allowing yourself to trust in the higher self and trust in higher power. And once they allow for that, that's when they're just gonna, like, that level up just so quickly, and their whole life is going to transform. Their whole life is going to transform. Their physical life might have been transforming and changing, and maybe not in ways that they have liked. And so that's where the ego is trying to, like, kind of control, because the ego just tries to protect, right? Ego is a survival and a defense mechanism. But part of your surrender is understanding that you don't need to be in a survival mode anymore. You don't need to be in that defense mode anymore. That you can allow yourself to open up. That's where you shift in consciousness. And the more that you expand your mind in that respect, the more that you understand and really anchor into that faith and that trust in yourself as well, connecting to yourself and connecting to God, and that helps you connect to the world around you, the more that's reflected in your physical world. There will be changes in your physical world. As your energy shifts, your physical world naturally has to change. But where you might have been in fear of those changes because of past experiences or past changes that were maybe unpleasant, what's happening now is they're beginning to integrate that faith and that trust and that surrender, and that opens them up to new opportunity, and that attracts new opportunity, that attracts new things, new positive experiences and positive things. And they've gotten a taste of this, but it's almost like that had scared them a little bit, because maybe they didn't feel like they were worthy of it. Maybe they felt shame or they felt guilt around it. Maybe there were different expectations. Maybe they were holding on to the past relationships or past connections or past experiences in some way. But all of it is about surrender, and allow what is really aligned to you to come to you. And they are, through that integration, that's what alignment truly is. Alignment is integrating with your higher self. And when you're integrated with your higher self, then you're in alignment with your soul, and you're in alignment with the universe. And that's when your physical world, your physical human experience reflects back to you in really beautiful, positive ways, because it's all in alignment. So I feel like still some transformation that's happening, still some shifting, energetic shifting and alignment that's happening, and integration that's happening here. We'll see what happens after the new moon. We'll see what happens. Divine feminines, spiritual awakening, shift or be shifted, integration. This is exactly what we're talking about for the divine feminine. And I'm just getting drawn to all this pink, all this heart chakra energy. We were talking about breaking free, liberating yourself, and really claiming yourself and embodying who you are. That's this integration. And it's interesting because you guys are mirroring each other. Do you see this? It's exactly what we were saying. You're mirroring each other, but on different levels and in different ways. You're still mirroring each other. This is still aligned, but you're just experiencing it in very different ways. It's almost like on different levels. You're still part of the same whole, You're still tending to the same garden, but you might not be able to see in your physical 3D world how each parts of the garden are being tended to. So, Divine Feminines, I feel like you're awakening to a new level of yourself. And remember, spiritual awakening happens in layers. Your ascension journey happens in layers. And I feel like it's like this spiral going deeper and deeper. It's like you're reaching the core of yourself, the deepest aspect of yourself, and you're integrating that. You are anchoring that in. You're now embodying your higher self. You're embodying the core of who you are and who you always have been. You just forgot. You forgot because that's what happens when we incarnate. We go through a level of unconsciousness. We go through a level of forgetting. But I feel like you have called back all those fragmented pieces of yourself. And there's this integration of those fragmented pieces of yourself. And it's all happening within the heart chakra. You're calling all that back within the heart chakra and anchoring it into the heart chakra to embody more of that soul self. And what is that soul self? That soul self is your connection to God, your connection to higher power. So keep working through this, Divine Feminines. I feel like this is a transformation that is especially occurring for you with this new moon energy. This new moon energy is really supporting this. And I'm hearing stabilizing it as well. So there's much more stability that's coming through for you. Okay, let's dive deeper and see what's going on in the 3D. So if you are a Patreon subscriber, we're going to continue. And if you're not a Patreon subscriber and this is resonating for you, you can go ahead and head over to the Patreon and we will continue this reading.